Hey guys, I wanted to do a tutorial on how I put together images using AI for headshots in Character Creator. And the great thing about this is that it can transfer over into MetaHumans through Character Creator if you export the mesh that it generates. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I use a stable diffusion interface called Invoke AI, which is free to install. They also have a service, but it's free to install on your computer if you know how. And I'll show you how I use that with Headshot 2 in this case, but you can use this with Headshot 1 to first generate heads like the one you see on screen in front of you, but also how you can generate multiple consistent images to use with the plugin headshots when you're creating your characters of different ethnicities and styles. So I'm gonna go through this and I'll show you the prompts that I use. I'll show you the images or how I get the images and all of the options I use to generate, again, consistent images for use in headshots. So here we are. As you can see, this is an image that's been generated. This is the interface for Invoke AI. And again, this is my local install, so I'm running it on my machine here. To get this to run, you would have to be familiar with Git, GitHub, command line. If any of these things that I'm saying make no sense to you or scare you away, they do have a service that you can use, but it's pay to play. So be aware of that. This is more free. If you know how to use it, you can install it, but you will have to have the hardware to run it. Now, in the background, I have a Character Creator, and I'll show you why we have one of the, these are one of the purchase scan models up, and I'll show you how we use that and use it with Invoke AI and what's called ControlNet. Now, there are several other stable diffusion interfaces out there, including one called Automatic 1111, Comfy UI, there's Invoke, there's a ton of them, but we're using this because they are more geared towards artists. They have great painting tools. They're even starting to do a node interface, which is very similar to a Comfy UI. And I've just found it very easy to get in, do creative work on Invoke AI and all of their features than it is with something like Stable Diffusion, which is more if you're going to train, if you wanted to test out the latest features. I found Invoke to be very stable, to be very fast if I want to install models, just perfect for creating stuff like, or just doing the creative work and then moving on to whatever else I need. So anyway, let's get started. Let me show you some of the models I created and the prompts. So the great thing about this is that it's very consistent, and depending on the model, you can get different results. So you can have realistic results like this you see in front of you, or you can have more cartoony results like this. This is more of a 3D effect itself. But with the model I'm using, I wanted a more realistic approach to pass to Headshot 2. So if you look here, and again, models will give you different results, but also give you different returns based on the ethnicity that you put in or the prompts you put in. So you may say, you know, Asian man, Asian woman, black man, black woman, but depending on how that model got trained, you may not have enough of a variation to get what you're looking for. I will be going through the model I'm using, and I'll put links in the description of where you can find these, but I'll step through and show you what is some of the consistency I've got. So if you look here, you have, this is a prompt for a Filipino woman, and you can see that she's looking forward. You can see her eye is a little off. There's no symmetric to this. You can show in a little teeth, but this is a perfect image for image to image. I'm sorry, not image to image, excuse me, headshots too, because there's no hair in her face. She's looking forward, she's on a white background. The head ratio to the body hair is perfect for, it makes it easy for headshots to create a model out of this image. So if we move to the next one, you'll see have another woman. This is obviously a Caucasian woman. You can see that it's very consistent with the last image, except for you can see the creative changes, her lips, her eyes, eyebrows, things like that. But you can see we have the same form here if I go back and forth between them, you can see the consistency, but you can see also that this has created a new character and it's perfect white background. Again, easy for Headshot 2 to work with. If I move to the next one, you can see this is an Indian woman. Again, we got that consistency here, but you can see obviously the face has changed. Is this an Indian woman? I don't know how else to put that, but you can see that because of the prompt, her hair is tied back, but again, it's not in her face, and she has the look and ethnicity markers that go with her race. So that's perfect. And again, perfectly consistent, easy for headshots to work with. But this also works with men. So if I'm sorry, we have one more, and this is, I believe I typed in this, a Russian woman for the prompt. You can see for the Caucasian woman, I believe that in the European-centric women that the eyebrows are the same. So if I go back, you can see that they are. And again, that's because of the model, but you can get more detailed in your prompts or your negative prompts, say stuff you don't want to see, to change that up. Or I'm not going to go into this tutorial, but you can actually switch to the painting tools, the in-painting tools inside of Invoke AI, which is more of an advanced subject, and actually paint these out to change how they look. If you guys are interested for me to create a tutorial on that, just comment below. So as I move past that, you can see you can create men too. Now this one has a little line here, and that's probably just an error of its stitching. But you can see that this is a perfect representation of one of the prompts that I put in. And we'll go over the prompts in a minute. But you can see the consistency again from head to head. We'll move on. I'll just kind of skip through these. And so you can see that consistency again. And so all of these are just prime candidates, perfect for image. I'm going to keep saying image to image, but they're prime candidates for Headshot 2 and Headshot 1. So let's jump over here to the interface. I'm just going to go through this really quick. You can go to the Invoke AI website and read more about Invoke itself and how to install it. I won't be going over that in this tutorial. If you want me to, I can create one. Please let me know. But let's just jump through this. So I have a prompt that I've been testing out to see how I can get consistent characters. And when I say testing out, I mean testing out. So these are all the results I've been going through to try to get consistent characters with consistent backgrounds. So what I've found, and this is across different models, and I'll talk about what a model is in a minute, but what I've found is that by entering a certain prompt, I'm able to get these results. And I'll just jump to this prompt real quick. This is a positive prompt. This is a negative prompt. So basically I'm saying, telling the AI I want a close-up headshot of, and then this normally would be your subject. So I can't type here. Whatever that subject would be. Man, woman, ethnicity, you would put that here. You would put age, you would put like if she's young, if he's older, things like that. Be descriptive, but don't go. A lot of things you'll see in AI prompting is people go crazy with these prompt subjects, and you can't know which ones are changing if you are affecting the image if you have too many prompts in, or even negatively affecting your image. So be very concise when you put these in. The next thing we're looking at is the type of hair. You want to keep this in because we want to keep the hair out of the face for the AI inside of Character Creator to read the face properly and model it after that. So we keep the hair out. The next thing is a fallback, just in case the generation does have hair, especially with women, that it will tie it back, just like you saw in this one. So we want to make sure that if it does include hair, that it's tied back behind her so that it doesn't fall on her face or to the side or cover the ears. The next we go over here, and I should talk about these brackets here. These brackets are different from in other Stable Diffusion prompt. They have their own prompting vocabulary. And so although you can use the old Stable Diffusion one if you know anything about it, the brackets here, or the parentheses, denote importance, and I also use them to put sentences together, short sentences, but to tell the AI that this is important, pay attention to it. The plus obviously means I believe it means specifically 1.2. Have to look in the documentation, but it's giving weight to that prompt. So this is emphasizing more. It says not only pay attention, really pay attention to this and make sure it's in it. So you'll see here I have looking at the camera, I have head straight, I have facing forward, symmetrical face, which doesn't always happen. I have no shirt. Again, I want this because of the generation, the way it, if you look at Character Creator, if we go to the default view, you'll see that it has these stripes, and this is the, if you hit J on the keyboard, you'll get this view, and we kind of want it similar to that. So let's bring that back up. All right. So moving on, that's why the no shirt is there, just to, again, since we're only generating the top portion and it's a headshot, we're not going to get any not for safe images, but we have that in our negative prompt, which I'll go over. The next is beauty lighting. If you put any other type of lighting, you're going to get a lot of shadows. Now we have shadows here, obviously, because Stable Diffusion is generating images based on other photos and things that it's learned. There's not too many delit images out there that don't have shadows or anything like that. So what we're trying to do is get more of close to even lighting. So what we do is we ask it to generate us beauty lighting, which is usually you'll have, you know, those makeup lighting tutorials, you've seen them where you have the, if you've done any lighting assignments, you'll have lighting that is basically even on all sides and flat. Again, this is not exactly that in any of the images, but it gets very close. You still have highlights here, but the great thing is that they're so less, they're less in here because of the prompt we put in, that especially in the new headshots 2, it's able to deal with it pretty easily. And I'll show you, once I import one of these in, I'll show you the new options under Headshots 2 that will get rid of all of this for you. You can also go into different programs, Photoshop, you can go into Lightroom, you can go into anything else and delight the photo after the fact as well. Again, we move through the prompt center frame, shot on medium format camera. Depending on the model, this is hit or miss. Some have this incorporated, some have other models like A7S2 or things like that. You just have to try different formats, but I usually keep this in. And of course, we want them on a white background. Now you can choose any other background, but per the recommendations on the Reallusion site, they should be on a white background. Now we jump back down here to the negative prompts, and as of course, this is things you do not want to see. So because the model is generated, you're usually supposed to have no teeth. I'll get back to this cyber realistic negative in a minute. So normally I want to make sure that it's not generating a smile or anything else. So we just make sure it says no teeth. We can probably put in no smile, but between no teeth and no smile, I saw that it had no effect whatsoever. This was stronger in that regards. Now again, it might be different in other models, so you can try no smile, no teeth to see which one works. You can see here that she has a little bit of a crease where some of the other ones don't, like here. But that's, again, you can fix that with painting, which is something else you can learn about, or you can just leave it. Again, the tools inside the new headshot will take care of that. You'll also hear, I have no hair bangs. Again, we don't want anything falling over the face to block it from the AI inside of headshot reading the face. And then I have NS, not safe for work, basically. Some of the models are very risque, so we don't need all that just yet. All right, so as I jump down here to this other panel, it basically asks us how many images we're gonna generate. You can generate up to, like in my case, I can generate to 4. I'm working on a 4090. So if you have anything lower than that, then I would stick with 1 or 2, especially at the sizes we're generating them at. Steps are basically how much noise is the AI going to use to generate this image? How many steps is it going to take to generate this image? Models have predefined steps, some that are optimized, some you don't, some need 20, some need 30. I've had good results with 30, but at some point you have diminishing returns. So just cranking this up to 100 does no good. You'll run out of memory, or you'll be waiting forever. So I found 30 has given me a good image to performance ratio. I wouldn't go higher than this. I don't think I didn't see any returns on it. Not that was significant enough to take into headshots too. You can try to go lower. I haven't done that yet, but experiment. That's the good thing about it. The CFG scale is basically how creative you want the AI to be with your image. So if you're at like 6, it will stick very closely to your prompt. It won't be creative at all. As you go higher, it gets more creative. Again, this is the same thing as steps. You don't want to go lower than 6 or even 6.5, depends on the model. And you don't want to go higher than 12. Cranking this up to 20 will do no good. You'll get strange results. Going below 6, you'll get strange results. So I usually get good results with 8 with this model again, and we'll jump to the model next. Different models will have different ranges. Usually where you get the model is where you get the model, you can look at the example images and see what people are using to get very similar images to what you're looking for, and kind of gauge based on that. Sometimes they put that information in the model as well, but not always. All right, so the next thing we'll go is the model. So models are basically the training bed, the training data. There's a ton of them out there that do different things. You can see I have a whole list of them. I have found my success inside of cyber realistic so far because it gives me a variety of different ethnicities. So far I've tested, whether it be from Filipino, like this one in front of you, to Caucasian, to Black, to whatever. It gives me enough consistency that is different. Not to say that it gets everything right. There's some distinctive markers depending on the race that may or may not appear. But again, that's easily fixed with two-way, with inpainting or with ControlNet, which I'll show you is a part of this. Deliberate, Dream Shaper is more like Midjourney. And there's some others out there. Also, the new Stable Diffusion XL has been released. It's a little, it's not as consistent so far. It's not as polished. So far, cyber realistic version 33 has given me the most consistency at the time of recording. VAE is more of, I'm not going to go over this. This is the encoding method to get from the model to the image, but that's more of an advanced topic. You can kind of leave all of this stuff as is. It will detect it for your system, and I wouldn't mess with it. Going back up here, I skipped the scheduler. The schedulers are based on it's a mathematical formula of how the images are going to be encoded, decoded, things like that. Euler is hit or miss. You usually want to use Euler or Euler Ancestral. I've had better results, consistent results with Euler Ancestral, where Euler sometimes, if you run it back to back, it seems to get things wrong and catch up in the next phase. So I would keep it on Euler Ancestral for your image generation. Now, seed is basically it's a number generation to basically for randomness. So if you want different images every time you hit this button, you will leave it on random. If you find an image you like, you can uncheck this. Like, say I like this image and I want to use her again, but I wanted to regenerate the face very similar to this, or actually it will regenerate this exact image. So if I hit invoke again, I should get this same image of her. Oh, the prompt was wrong. The prompt was different, so we're gonna get a slightly different image. But the idea is that, let's do it again. Maybe I'll get consistent images with the same prompt. So there we go. You may not notice it, but I am switching between, and I got the exact same image. And that's how, like, you can make, what you can do is say you like this face, but you want to make some changes. Say you want to change the eyebrows. What you can do is write either a negative prompt in here, or maybe you want them to have a mole or something like that, and you can write that in and regenerate, and it will use this seed to kind of use this image, or the generation, to create the new model. So maybe we can try that. Let's say left cheek. I'm not sure if this will actually pick it up, but let's try it. So it gave me it's the same image, but you can see that it's changed slightly because it added that, but it's very similar. She has moles on her cheek instead of just a mole. But yeah, that, you can see how that works. Moving on, I'm actually using a higher number than what this model normally requests. So different models have different image sizes. So with this is if I hover over this, you'll see that's a Stable Diffusion 1 model, and that normally that is an image size of 512. I'm training it, or I'm using 1024. It seems to work just fine, but there are times you can get strange results. You have to look at the model. Usually 1.5 SD models, 1.5 or 512 models, 2.1 and up have bigger image sizes. I can't remember exactly what they start at. And then the new the SD XL model starts at 1024. I just leave it like this for now because I'm testing a lot of SD XL models, so I don't like to keep switching it back. So that's why that's there. Again, experiment. You might want to look into this image thing. You can't go crazy and just pump it up. The reason why is that images are trained to a certain pixel ratio or number, so it always has to equal out. So 1024 by 1024 equals a certain pixel count in the image itself. You always have to match that, even if it's 2 by 3, 16 by 9. You need to make sure that these add up to that pixel count, or you'll get strange results. Same thing with the other models, so just keep that in mind. It's an advanced topic, you can look it up. All right, so the ControlNet, this is the secret sauce of this all right here. So what we're doing is we're using a control image, as you can see here, to basically tell the AI that, hey, I want you to use this, make sure you use this in to draw the structure I want for each of my images, and follow this structure. And you can use different images and different ControlNet. So if I go over here, I have a bunch of them. And you can see this one was generated from Character Creator. This was a model I found, a picture of a model I found online. This is the one being used, as you can see. And you can see why the teeth are showing on some of the models here. These were some of the ones I used to generate stylistic characters. This is another Character Creator output. And this is another stylistic image. And so what happens here is that what you're able to do is drag that image in, and you use different models to as a control for the generation. So they have two of the ones you're going to be used to or see most of the time is either Canny, which kind of gives like an outline of that. If you can see that, it's very hard to see, but it gives the outline of the model. And then the other one I use is depth, and this creates a depth map for your image, as you can see there. Now, if I go, I'm going to leave it on depth. Now the reason why I use depth, and I can explain Canny and another image. Canny would be used for, say you have a photo of a model, or you're trying to create a certain ethnicity with the markers of, like, I don't know what each race has different markers that you can easily identify them by a certain look, a certain feature, a nose, ears, lips, eyes, and you want that to kind of carry over without having to go through in painting. You can use Canny to get you can see, I'll stop rolling over there. You can see that with the Canny model in the corner, that it's starting to outline the eyes, the nose, and the mouth shape. And you can kind of increase that, how much is picked up and how much is used. That way you can make sure that you get those distinct features and the AI considers it. If you just want to have the structure, the head structure used, you can use the depth math. This allows the AI to always consistently create the same structure, again, which we've seen, but it lets it be creative and fill in the middle, which is what that number was before, which we saw here, the CG scale. Whoops, I didn't mean to hit that. This will allow the AI to be very creative of what it puts in the middle there. The way you obviously wanted to use the full of the image, and again, this is very advanced subject. What happens here, this beginning and end percentage is important because I have it from 0 to 50. Usually by default it's at 100. And when it's at 100, it's saying use this entirety of this image to use this ControlNet image and generate the entirety. Wow, I'm not explaining that right. So you want to use this image and use 100% of it to generate this image. When I have it at 50%, I'm saying out of those steps I told you to use, only use 50%, which is usually like use the structure of what you see in that control image, and then the rest you can be creative. So it's basically saying fill in the lines first and the structure, and then everything else you can be creative with. And you can play with this slider. You can do it at the end. You can say be creative with the structure, but after start to use, you know, the control image, or you can do 70%, or you can move this around. But usually best results is keep it at 50% for the structure, and then you'll be consistent 100% of the time. The control mode goes from balance to prompt to control and to mega control. This is just used to say either balance between the prompt and these settings and the control image. Follow the prompt closely as possible. Basically, the prompt trumps these options. Use the control, and then the other one is mega control, which is pretty much this is the controlling factor. So you can, again, this is something you can experiment with. I won't go over resize model. You should be using the same size images, 1024M. That's your control images. Your control images should be 1024, or you might get distorted images. Again, you can use these to fix that, but I normally, if you're going to generate a 512 image, 512 by 512, then use a 512 by 512 image. If you're going to do one, they should always be square because that's, again, what Reillusion requires. And everything else is very advanced. If I go back up, I said I was going to talk about this. This is what's called a LoRa, and this, you can see that this says cyber realistic, so it's meant for this model specifically. It basically corrects some of the training errors inside of this model only. LoRa's are advanced topics, but for now, that's why that's there, just to correct some of the negative impacts of this model itself, right? So now that we got, let's go back to, well, we can use this image here. And so now that I've generated my image, I'm happy with it. I want to go into Character Creator. What I can do is, this is a 1000, it's a HD image, a square image, right? So I want to upscale this at least to 4K, only because it's going to be pulling the textures from it. So this is if you decide to use the textures, or maybe you don't, or you want to do some painting, but we're going to size this up. So under this tab, they have a couple of resizing methods. We're going to use the 4x plus, and we're just going to upscale this image. And this takes a minute, but so now you can see we have an upscale model. It's changed it a little bit. You can see that it's a little more softer than the original. If I go down here, but this still should be fine for our use cases. We're gonna go ahead and I've right-clicked on this, and I'm gonna save it. So let's open it up in a new tab so I can save it where I want. All right, so we'll save this on the desktop and we'll just call this Invoke profile. Just real quick, it's the ping. Let's save that. It's done. So it's good. My advice is once you move over, once you're happy, you want to kill Invoke to get some back your memory, your VRAM. You don't have to kill the interface, you can leave it up, but I would kill the process. And let's minimize that. So I'm gonna go over here and we're gonna discard that. So actually, let's go through this real quick. So if you want a good way to get some control images for using in Invoke AI is you can go ahead and load up a model. So you can even load up the generic models if you don't have some of the scan reality actors like I have here. You can go ahead and load in some of the free ones that come with character creator. So in this case is the Camilla model. So let's hit no. This might take a second. So you have this model, and what do you want to do? Since it's going to be a depth image, you want to zoom her out just a little bit. Make sure you got the shoulders in there. One of the things I do is usually I will get rid of the hair. So just go ahead and get rid of the hair, and you want to get rid of the shirt as well so that the model looks like this. The next thing you should do is go ahead, we don't want the jaggies on there. So if your computer can handle it, go ahead and select her, hit smooth mesh, and you can use one subdivision. So we'll go ahead and smooth. So we have a subdivision here, so you can use that. You might want to, right now, she's in a pose, so you can go ahead and let's hit remove and see if that removes everything. There you go. Yep. Let's not get in trouble on YouTube. Let's give her an A pose. And yeah, we're gonna get in trouble on YouTube. All right, so here we go. And now her face is not symmetrical. That's by the design, but that's fine. There's also this lighting. You want to get rid of the lighting so that it's even like this. So you want to render this type of image. I went up here and I checked on, this is, what was this called? This is auxiliary lighting. And then once you've done that, you want to go in and you can just do a preview image. It's going to give you the lighting, or you can go render image, and then you'll set it up basically so that you're only rendering this flat type of image, so you can get that depth map. You can do preview quality, whatever you need to set up here to render this out. Again, remember you want to keep it square. So in this case, make sure it's 1080 by 1080. Or was it 1080 by 1080 or 1024? 1024 by 1024. So you want to make sure that that aspect ratio is locked in, and then save it out. And then you could, once you go back into inside of Invoke AI, inside your gallery, you would drag it. All you have to do is drag and drop it into this field and it'll appear. And then once you have it, you can drag and drop it into the ControlNet here. To get the ControlNet, you hit the plus, you'll turn it on, you'll use the drop down, and then you just take it and you just drag it over here and drop it on there. So that's that. So, all right, now that we have character creator loaded up, let's go ahead and get started in headshots. I'm gonna run through this really quickly because there's a ton of information out there, including official videos from Reallusion. It'll kind of show you how this slots in to give you a great starting point for a base character to use either as a background character or hero character. The point really is to not so much give you an instant click to make amazing characters like one-to-one, but it gives you a baseline to start that. For one, a variety of the characters, if you have to create a cast of characters of different looks or different ethnicities, but also it gives you a great base to build upon to move forward, whether it be inside ZBrush or substance or anything else. So let's kind of look at that and how that would work. So I've already got it selected in headshots, but let's go ahead and I'm going to select the female, clean solve, and then just generate. We'll give that some time to generate. All right, we'll see that everything, or you will see that everything has been generated. And what we're going to do is hit J, jump from face view, and you'll see that although it doesn't match 100% one-of-one, some of the finer details of the model, from the image to the model, is lost. The shape of her ears, the dent in her chin, her jawline, it's not exact, but it's very easy to fix with the sculpting tools, or say we can extend the ear here, push them in, or maybe even pull out the jaw a little bit, push it in over here. So this stuff could be fixed and done with the morphing tools inside. I'm blanking here. The morphing tools inside Character Creator. But you see that it gives you good baseline. But what I really wanted to show you is the fact that now the new headshot plugin on the image side, besides the modeling feature, has some new modes that allows you to get finer control over the images you import. So one of the things is, we all knew this projection, or because this is image projection, we have this issue with the eyes, and very easily fixed by going into the eyelid mask and going all the way down to maximum wide fill. And this is on auto update, so let's just go through. And if anybody's interested on a full tutorial running through create a character with this pipeline, I can always do that in another video. This video's got quite long, so we'll just show some of the options you have available when importing this texture. So this texture is pretty high res, but this is actually the baseline of what looks like that's changing. It's one of the bad things about having auto update on. Let's set that to maximum fill and click off of it. So as we scroll up, you'll notice this is 4096 by 4096. And if you go into the photo preparations, you'll see that Reallusion actually, for its pro mode, recommends that you are above 4096, so 6K images, 8K images, which can take a long time to process into your system, depending on how powerful your system is. But one of the coolest things that it has is under the face mask options. And so they have a lot of new options under there, but the three that are the coolest are all shadows, delight, and delight strong, and they do exactly what they say. These delight the images at different levels, and this removes all the shadows. So if we look at this, we can go ahead and say delight strong, and of course it's going to remove all of the shadow information and highlight information, as you can see there. The other thing we might want to fix is the mouth here, because the texture is projected. The mouth is closed, but the texture is projected wrong. So we can go, if we don't want to take it into Photoshop or another program, and say mouth and repair upper lip. And you'll see that kind of fixed that issue. So again, this was to show mostly how to use an AI tool, Invoke in this case, to generate good, consistent images to use for the the headshot process, at least on the image side. This is great again for creating a lot of variety of background characters, or if you need to create the baseline for a hero character and get that going, this is a great way to do that and do it quickly, while trying out a variety of characters in different styles. We'll go ahead and just throw some dynamic makeup on her hair, maybe even some hair. But I'm gonna wrap this video up and drop a comment below if you want to see more, maybe a detailed character look with the same process, maybe not so much explaining, but just more of showing. Or if you're looking to see any more AI interfaces, I believe the only one that you can get a little more detailed in is Comfy UI. Automac 11 is a little bit messy, but a lot of people do use that. I'm not fond of it myself, but if you guys want to see that, we can work with that one as well. Yeah, we'll wrap this up, and if you want to see more, comment down below. I'll be making more videos on character creator, Unreal Engine, and AI tools in the future, so definitely subscribe to it. And until next time, next video, stay safe. See you then.